Hello and welcome. I've got one more video on the upcoming Last Chieftains DLC. This one's going to cover a couple things that I missed in my previous video, and then I'm mainly going to focus on all the changes to existing maps. There are no new maps as far as I could tell, but several of the existing maps have changed, and that's going to be the main focus of this video. First up, it was pointed out to me that the Javelina has a new skin. And also, upon further inspection, it now only has 300 food instead of the typical 340 that the boar had. Boars used to look exactly the javelinas used to have the same skin as the boars. Now they have a unique graphics and unique sounds. There we go. I also checked. The merchant and the trade cart is the same as the Mesoamerican one, no changes there. And then the other thing that I just saw that was pointed out to me that I didn't show off is that this hero here can switch into ranged mode. So both melee and ranged. That's all. Now we can look at some of these animals. I also did another special video on the snakes, just having fun with those. But we can take a look at the new maps. Oh yeah, and I took a careful look, and it turns out, yeah, this Black Panther here is, in fact, it's the same skin, just darkened, which makes sense because that's what they are in real life too. Just melanistic variants. Alright. So for these tests, I'm going to use a 2v2 map so that we can see what it looks like with multiple players. And I've got a whole bunch. Basically, I copied over the old versions of these maps so we can see comparison. And we're just going to go through alphabetically. So beginning here, I took out the ones where the changes seemed relatively minor. I couldn't visually see what the changes were. We'll start with Baltic. So we'll generate that. And then, so the notable thing is here, right, there's this island with a relic on it. It doesn't seem to be centered, but it exists. And now the new version of Baltic takes much longer to generate, as most of these maps do. And it now has a large central island covered in snakes, and that's where the relic is. It's good that it's centered, that's fairer. And it's guarded by snakes now. It's also good to put the snakes on this island, because if the snakes were somewhere here, they could just rove all around. Here they're at least trapped. Next up, we have, scroll, coastal and coastal forest. We'll start with coastal. I'm going to use the same seed each time so we can see how different things are. And of course, we've got new animals used throughout. That's not the main focus, but coastal's been remade. It now only has this narrow land bridge, and it only has it sometimes. And relatively not that much water. Actually, wait. That's the old version of coastal. Still, okay, let's get a different seed so I can demonstrate it more properly. The land bridge here can be wider, right? You can have a fairly wide land bridge, while the new version of coastal takes longer to generate, as do all of these new maps. It always has sort of this smaller land bridge or no land bridge at all, and is generally rounder in shape. And whales have been added to many of the water maps as a gatherable gold source. You can see they're slightly different colored on the mini-map too. Next up, let's take a look at coastal forest. So this was the old version. And the new version takes longer to generate. Can apparently spawn in different orientations. That's interesting. I didn't realize that, but that's cool. But what I actually want to show you guys is it now comes with a neutral dock that you can presumably trade with right here at the end. Alright, next up, scroll. I'm not going to go into too much detail. It's just supposed to be a quick overview. We're going to look at Greenland. So the old version here has these shore fish in the middle in these basically ice fishing spots, and does not have much in the way of fish anywhere else, right? A couple scattered shore fish. The new version takes longer to generate, but it has, well, you've got the polar bears, but you have whales. You have these larger ponds that contain whales, and you don't have the big select collection of shorefish. You have more individual shorefish. And yeah, more bears, and you have these whales for gold. Next up, we have islands. I think for islands, what I basically wanted to show off was that whales have been added. I just wanted to use it as an example to show that, you know, water maps have gotten some gold that you can go fishing for. The overall layout is comparable. Scrolling. Migration. Start with the old one. Alright, so the old version of migration has these sometimes irregular shaped player islands. They can extend in different directions, do some weird things. This is an excellent example here. And the new version of migration is generating slowly. Has more round-shaped islands. Now the center here, this depends exactly how it looks, but my impression is that all of the player areas are more regular, more round-shaped now. You can generate a few other ones so you can see again. The middle can be bigger too, depending on the positions. But definitely sort of rounder shapes, right? Compare the same seed here. Also the center has been adjusted in that it's round now in the new version too. And I think the players can't really be in the corners anymore. Generating. Yeah, the players are spawning on the circle too, which means that effectively there's less room in the center, but more room for fishing in the corners. And of course, we've got the whales again. Next up, we have Morass. Now, I observed here, okay, take a look here at all these shorefish and so on, everywhere. Another thing that I just point out quickly is now you can actually keep 3D water on and generate multiple maps and not have 3D water appear where water was on the previous map. Seems they finally, after 6 years, fixed that bug. So that's nice. The new version of Morass seems to put the shorefish further away from the woodlines. There's no shorefish directly touching the forest here, and I guess there's more room probably to fit a lumber camp. The fish are all more exposed on the outside. Also harder to wall them in, I suppose. Next up, we're going to take a look at Nile Delta. I suppose here what I wanted to show as well, once it generates, is just the fact that whales have been added. Right, the map still looks exactly the same in terms of everything else, but whales have been added. Whales have also been added on other water maps. I didn't show every single water map, just left in a couple in the set that I was going to show off as examples. Let's take a look at Pilgrims. Alright, so here's a winter version of Pilgrims. And if we now take the new version of Pilgrims, Pilgrims now spawns with a church on the shore for each player. In this case, it's a bit weird that we ended up with 3 and 1. You'll also get ones where it's 2-2. That's the more typical. Because it always spawns like on the closest free spot. I guess it's supposed to fit with the idea of people making a pilgrimage. I suppose. Maybe. You can't really use it until you reach Castle Age anyway, but I guess it's a thematic edition. Right. Next up, scrolling, we have... So the old Scandinavia map was apparently called Scandinavia, and now it's been properly renamed to... Or was called Scandinavia, now it's called Scandinavia, which is the proper spelling. Yeah, so this is the old version. You've got sort of these bears on these ice floes, and if a player is close to the edge, it bulges a bit. And also some rendering issues on these ice floes here with the 3D water. And now if we switch to the new version, generating. So these ice floes have been removed and replaced with sort of a more ragged border here. We have whales added as a gold source on the sides. And also the map overall has been remade somewhat. Like these ice patches now have some nice terrain around them, where before they were just directly on the grass. So yeah, I shouldn't have clicked that, especially not with the same seed because nothing's going to change. But yeah, so it's been remade. You know, we've got some thematic things like these barrels here too, where the old version had not had those barrels, had more snow overall, and the ice patches just directly on the snow. Oh, more changes. Alright, let's see. I want to look at Shoals. Yeah. We got a relatively small change on that one to show off. So Shoals used to have this gold in sort of individual patches all over the place. Or not all, it concentrated in these areas. And now it has the gold more in traditional clumps where you have 3 gold in a cluster rather than lots of individual gold. Then I think that's all of them. Nope, no, I missed. I might have scrolled past some. You probably are probably already writing a comment if I did. I found Team Islands though, so didn't miss that. So the new Team Islands is more of a really regular shape. Oh, this is the old Team Islands, sorry. You have a fair amount of water on the outside, right? And sort of a thick passage in the middle, thick passage on the outside can be any orientation. Get a diagonal orientation to show off, right? And then if we switch to the new Team Islands, it takes longer to generate. And the islands are larger, right? You've got an extremely regular looking passage in the middle, and here on the outside there's less space than before, and we've got some whales in the middle to fight over. But overall, I feel like this, like it looks, you know, the terrain blending and everything is nice, but the overall layout looks a bit artificial at this point, where you've got this sort of very blocky team islands with a lot of land around them. And not all that much water, actually. It's probably better for gameplay to have more land, but they have reworked water, so... Okay, diagonals still exist, but the land, the islands just go further to the outside. That's certainly a change that's there. So, let me check my list to make sure I didn't forget anything before I call it. Shoals, Scandinavia, Pilgrims, Nile Delta, Morass, Migration, Islands, Greenland, Coastal Forest, Baltic. Yeah, that's all the maps I wanted to show you guys that have been other maps have been modified as well. The new animals have been added to a large number of maps. Mega Random has some of the new animals, some of the new berry bush equivalents. However, these were the ones where I think like the layout has changed or something notable has changed. So if you have any thoughts about those, leave the comments below. I could also consider making a map pack at some point of older versions of the official maps. You know, possibly going back to the HD edition or just, you know, DE closer to launch versions of the maps if there's interest in that. I feel some of the reworks have been good. Some of them have been less well received, like the Black Forest ones, where people, you know, some players liked the less consistent, more ragged versions and liked having roads and so on. So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching this video, and check out the other videos where I go over the new content that's been added in the coming DLC. It comes out on the 17th, which is only a couple days from now. Bye!